In the dark where the silence creeps, I feel a chill in my mind and leaps. Got the warning, hear the whispers in the night. Shadow ghost on the hunt, ready for a fight. Haunting visions can't escape the curse. Feel the pressure, man, it only gets worse. Shadow ghost, you can't take my throne. I'm standing tall, won't stand alone. Through the darkness I light the way. I'm the warrior, ready for the fray.
Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to Coffee with a Ghost. I'm Shadow Ghost, your favorite airsoft playing good ghost. Today we have a very special show. Well, one of my favorite types of shows, a history show. I absolutely love talking about history. It is like my favorite thing in the world. It is my favorite subject to get into. And I think it's actually something that's missing in a lot of people's airsoft games. A lot of us build our loadouts after seeing something we like or some way we want to mimic. The only problem is if you don't know the history of the gear or the individuals, how do you even know you're getting it right? You know what I'm saying? It can be a lot more difficult than people think sometimes to get just the right loadout or just the right gear to especially for like a mil sim or a historical event. But we gotta knock out the old stuff. So before we go any farther, if you have not yet, make sure to hit that like and follow button. It's right down there. It's right down there at the bottom of the screen. You just gotta hit it with your mouse. Take sure there's a little bit of pressure with your finger and help us out. It also helps you stay up to date with all the content we bring you right here at the Haunted House. Alright, so we're going to be talking about a very special item today. And that's how we're going to get into this. Of course, we're always airsoft related out here, even with our history or what we're talking about or type of people we're talking about or gears. So today, to start this off, this right here is what we're talking about. It is a G-Force Molle compatible polymer training machete. I picked it up from Airsoft GI. Now, you can find their site at airsoftgi.com or here on YouTube. Just look for Airsoft GI. If you can't find it, you're doing something odd. They're everywhere. They're one of the best one-stop shops for all your airsoft needs. Everything from replica rifles to gear to you name it. They are just one of the best spots to go. Now, when you're looking at this, let's get it out of the sheath here so we can get a better look at it. All right, now when you're looking at this right here, and it's the polymer training machete. It seems very similar. Okay, let's just be honest here. It looks like a kookery. Kookery. Replica. Now, to me, this is just a hustle. I mean, I don't know if they were 100% going for that when they did this. I kind of hope they did, but that's what we're going to talk today. Because it's got some great points. One, of course, is the size. Let's be honest. This thing is cool. The size has a lot to do with it. It's definitely got that cool factor to it. The size, it's not a small melee replica. Next has to be, let me reach back down here and grab this for you guys, the Molle system. Now, I think it is a great system that they set up here. You see we have the two snaps, bottom and top. That makes it great. I like to keep mine on the back for quick access, but you could easily add it to your belt or add it to your side. And, again, the factor is it's just a neat thing. And you see this on the airsoft field, it's automatically, that's a cool moment. That doesn't really mean much if you can't actually explain what it is. So let's talk about, in my humble opinion, what this melee replica represents. The kookery. And the soldiers who have taken it into battle. See, that's an important part of this too. Now, you might be sitting back saying, Ghost, that's a cool knife. Well, unfortunately, you'd be wrong. It is classified as a short sword, actually. I know, that caught me off guard too. It really surprised me. I thought maybe it would have been considered like a machete or a large knife, but no, actually, throughout history, it has been classified as a short sword. Now, the kukri that it's based off of usually weighs in at about 1 to 2 pounds and between about 16 to 18 inches long. So they actually did, as far as the length goes, as you can see here, pretty dang similar and close to that. Now, the weight, of course, is not going to be 1 to 2 pounds in a Malay replica for obvious reasons. So I'm not even going to get into the reasons why. We all know. All right, now let's talk about what this is really based off. The kukri is the Nepal's national weapon. So the first recorded use of this was in the 7th century. Researchers traced the origins of the blade to the domestic sickle. Now, they believe it might have derived from an ancient Indian saber, or possibly based on the Greek kopis brought by Alexander the Great to India in the 4th century. Now, the kukri has a major legend attached to itself. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but I have to say it is a legend because no matter how hard we have researched and tried here at the haunted house, we could not find an actual Gurkha, who are the soldiers who carry these blades, to confirm this was truth. So we're going to stick with legend. But the legend goes that if a Gurkha pulls his kukri from its sheath, they have to have blood on it to put it back in to the sheath. Now, some people say that is why, if you look at this piece right here, this notch, that is why that's there, so they could run their thumb, like so, across it and cut and put blood on there. Again, we're putting this up to legend because of the fact that we here cannot confirm this. Now, I know people are going to jump me in the comments and go, oh, I've heard that it was 100% fact, this and this. If you happen to, anybody out there actually knows a Gurkha, please send them our information. We would love to talk to them. We'd love to interview them and confirm if that legend is true or not. Now, with that being said about the Gurkhas, let's talk about these incredible soldiers who carried the kukri. Their history is amazing. This is gonna, yeah. They are primarily from the mountains of Nepal. They officially joined the ranks of the East India Trade Company and in turn the British military in 1816 after the Anglo-Nepalese War. So now, again, I'm not going to get into the Anglo-Nepalese War. We could spend a whole episode probably talking about just that conflict that happened in the Nepal mountains. But this we're talking about is, at the end of it, in 1816, when those Gurkha units were actually brought into the East India Trade Company. Now, let's break this down for you. After fighting the Gurkhas in that war, the East India Trade Company and the British military were so impressed that part of the peace treaty they made with the Nepalese kingdom and made them sign stated that the Gurkha units would now serve in their own forces. And boy, have they served. They have been in every major conflict the British military and later the United Kingdom have been involved in all the way up to currently. So basically go back to 1816 all the way up to now 2024. If Britain has been in the conflict, there's a chance that the Gurkhas were there. It is the best way to put it. They are legendary for what they did. Gurkhas are known basically for their bravery and their ferociousness on the battlefield. Field Marshal Sam Mackenshaw once said, and I'm quoting him here, if a man says he's not afraid to die, he's either lying or he's a Gurkha. They're also known for being a legacy unit, meaning if your grandfather or father was a Gurkha, then there's a good chance you're going to end up being a Gurkha. Now, I know that sounds funny to some people, so the best way for me to compare it here is, now here in the U.S., we have college legacy programs where I'm located right now in the United States. Meaning if your family happened to go to an Ivy League school, you could use that legacy to possibly help you get into an Ivy League school. Well, in Nepal, they have Gurkha legacy programs. Yeah, that's right. Wrap your head around that for just 1 second. Just sit here and think about it. Well, how different a culture that is compared to us here. Now, again, I mentioned earlier, throughout history, these guys have been just known for incredible acts of bravery and incredible ferociousness on a battlefield. I know when I was in the service, if somebody had brought up the Gurkhas, you heard people get quiet. Their legend way precedes them. People ask why. Well, throughout history, they just keep showing these examples and examples and examples of this. For one example here is during World War II, the Gurkha soldiers that served in that war received 2,734 awards for bravery, including 2 Victoria Crosses. That's the equivalent of the United States Medal of Honor. Now, while doing research here at the haunted house, searching for stories of these badass warriors in World War II, we came across a lot of different reports, a lot of crazy ones. And some of them were even kind of hard to even like process. Wow, is this real, or is this, something that just came down through the line? But no, 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 the Gurkhas are real. We came across this one report of a Gurkha named Tal Baldahar Plun, or Pun. I'm probably butchering his name, and I do apologize. That is not meant in any kind of disrespect, but my Nepalese is not exactly fluent. But it just blew me away so much, I had to dive deeper into it just to make sure this was real. I mean, it sounded like an action movie to me. Boy, it is real. All right, so let's talk about this guy. Pun was 21 years old and a rifleman in the 3rd Battalion, 6th Gurkha Rifles in the Indian Army during World War II. When the following deed took place, is which he was awarded the Victoria Cross. Again, that would be the equivalent to the Medal of Honor here in the United States. On June 23rd, 1944, the Magong, Burma, during an attack, and again, I probably totally just butchered that name. It is Mogaung, if anybody wants to look it up, in Burma. Where during an attack on a railway bridge, a section of one of the platoons was wiped out, with the exception of Rifleman Tal Pun. His section commander and one other are the only ones left at this point. They are all been wiped out. These are the 3 guys that are still standing there. So the section commander immediately led a charge on what was the enemy position, but was once immediately badly wounded. So commander's knocked out. And so was the 3rd man. That left Rifleman Pun. And he wasn't going down without a fight. He was ready to go. He had that Gurkha spirit. And with a Bren gun, he continued the charge alone in the face of shattering fire and reaching the position. He ended up killing 3 of the occupants and put 5 more to flight, meaning he took out 3 of them right there. 5 more were so freaking scared of this guy jumping over at them with this Bren gun on him and just going at them that they took off, man. They were, nah, I ain't doing this. I'm out. From there, he captured 2, not just 1, but 2 light machine guns and much. That's all they listed as much ammunition. They don't give the exact numbers. So, for most of us, oh, man, that's a good day's work on the battlefield. I'm brave. No, he wasn't done. He then gave active supporting fire, enabling the rest of his platoon to reach their objective. I mean, again, sounds like something out of a freaking, Sylvester Stallone movie, not an actual military report, but this is all true. We could go on forever on just examples of these guys' bravery during World War II and beyond. We'd be here so long that you'd probably get upset. So we're just going to keep going with this. We're going to keep progressing forward because I think it's kind of interesting where we could go with this, just to show how this works. So let's just skip to an example of modern times. So now we have another Gurkha. And we're in the Afghanistan war. Yeah, that's right. Gurkhas were over in Afghanistan. They were there with the coalition forces. Now you have a guy named Taprast Pun. He's a Nepalese sergeant of the Royal Gurkha Rifles. And yeah, you heard that name right. You heard me right. He is the grandson of the Super Gurkha soldier I was just talking about in World War II. He was decorated with a let me do this right. Conspicuous gallantry cross for an act of bravery during a battle in Afghanistan on the night of September 17th, 2010. So let's break down what, Super Gurkha's grandson does. Sergeant Pun, an acting sergeant, single-handedly repelled a force of 12 to 30 Taliban insurgents. Yes, you heard that number right. 12 to 30 Taliban insurgents who were attacking his patrol base near Babaji in the Helmand province. Now, that one I actually believe I did get the pronunciation pretty close to. You can look up where this at. It was a very active area in Afghanistan. Helmand province had many examples of battles. The insurgents were definitely back and forth throughout the Afghanistan conflict trying to gain control of this area. Immediately prior to the engagement, Pun, who was with, the 1st Battalion Royal Gurkha Rifles, was on sentry duty at a checkpoint. He's doing what us soldiers do. He's standing there, he's on guard, guarding his unit's compound, to be technically. Taliban foragers were attempting to plant an IED near the compound gate under the cover of darkness, because, well, that just seems to be how those insurgents did stuff over there. When they surrounded and attacked Pun's position with AK-47s and RPGs. Now, the story goes that Pun heard some movement out there, some livestock. I've heard everything from goats to sheep to lots of different things. And that's when he started to investigate it. And when he called out to the Taliban's trying to set up the IED. Once he tried to call to get who they were and what they were doing out there, they immediately returned fire on him and started engaging his post. Now, again, we're talking 12 to 30 Taliban soldiers against one guy. He was believing he was about to die. He felt that, hey, it's hitting this point. Now, I, for the life of me, have to respect these amazing soldiers and the Gurkhas for their manset. It seems like when they think they're going to die, something completely different kicks in. And they go to super soldier level. But believing he was about to die, he decided to kill basically as many of those guys as he possibly could. So, over the course of the engagement, Acting Sergeant Pun fired 250 rounds from his machine gun and 180 from his side rifle. His primary rifle, I'm assuming, was probably an M4. I'm not 100% confirm that, but I do know that was what was primarily carried by Allied forces during the Afghanistan conflict. He also used 17 hand grenades and a claymore mine. Yes, you heard me right. He even used a claymore mine before beating the last fighter after his machine gun jammed, and then by throwing the tripod of his machine gun. So let me break that last part down. His machine gun's going. He jams, takes the machine gun, beats down one enemy fighter with the machine gun, and then throwing the tripod of the machine gun at another enemy fighter. This man was not going down with a fight. It was just amazing. He survived to the next morning. It was confirmed at that point by villagers around him that he was up against that many type of Taliban insurgent fighters at that point. Upon receiving the award, Pun said that he had no choice but to fight, as the Taliban surrounded his checkpoint and he was alone. Pun prevented his post from being overrun, saving the lives of 3 of his comrades. His actions were so brave and cited as the bravest as seen in his battalion during 2 tours. So again, the only way I can put this is a family of super soldiers. I mean, incredible. And these are the guys that carried the kukri. Well, here at the Haunted House, we hope you guys enjoyed learning about the kukri and the Gurkha soldiers who carry them and why the G-Force Molle compatible polymer training machete is such a cool melee replica to add to your loadout. So when somebody walks up and they're like, dude, what is that? I got an answer for them and you got a great story to go with it. If you haven't yet, please make sure to go down there and hit that like and follow button. And if there's an airsoft replica or a piece of gear you would like us to talk about here at Coffee with a Ghost, you can either comment here directly on this post or you can message me through Discord. I will have a Discord link underneath this video to our page on there. And don't forget, you can always email us directly at shadowghost f13@gmail.com. We will do our best to look at those to see what you guys want to talk about, between airsoft replicas or a piece of gear that, is carried. If you want to know the history of it, you want to know why it's such a cool thing, or whatever, what its original applications were, how it came to be about, please hit us up in that, those different ways, and we'll get back with you and do our best to get it done. Now, again, I hope you guys really enjoyed this more change of the show today, going into history a little bit and talking about the Kukri and the Gurkhas and how just amazing they are, and this cool from Airsoft GI Polymer Molle training machete. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. So, all right, guys, don't forget again, you can always hit that like and follow button. Get us out there to your friends so we know we're doing this right and we can keep getting you guys the best content out there. And till the next time, don't forget what Ghost is always saying. Get your ghost on.
In the dark where the silence creeps, I feel a chill in my mind and leaps. Got the warning, hear the whispers in the night. Shadow ghost on the hunt, ready for a fight. Haunting visions can't escape the curse. Feel the pressure, man, it only gets worse. Shadow ghost, you can't take my throne. I'm standing tall, won't stand alone. Through the darkness I light the way. I'm the warrior.